Employee wellness and work-life balance. You looking to figure out how to maximize and get the most from your employees? Create long-term retention? Well, you've come to the right place. When we can live life on our terms, on a holistic level, taking into account not just our business lives, but also our health, all of our relationships, from friends, family, partners, the world changes. All right, so when it comes to creating a healthy work-life balance for your employees, and I hate to say this, but I think in a lot of ways balance is a real challenge anymore. In some cases it's total bunk. But before you bounce out, a healthy work-life integration can create that balance. But you have to create the intentionality around it. Now, I've had the good fortune to work with leadership teams literally all over the world, and actually in some cases entire organizations, where we go through and we take them through the process that we call life on your terms. But it's to help people review and look at success in a different way. Now, as an employer, you may say, well, I don't know that I want to do that. What if employees start looking at things and they want to do something different? Well, in some cases it'll happen, but it's pretty rare actually. And what I've seen more and more and more is that if you invest the energy in your employees to help them figure out how to have a more balanced, more integrated life, and they actually become a better spouse, a better parent, their fitness becomes stronger, the reality is they usually become a better employee. They're going to maximize their skills and their skill set in that space. And we're going to talk through how to do that. So the intention is how is it you can get the absolute best out of your employees? How can you empower them to become their best selves? And more often when you do, and you do this well, those employees are going to become die-hard, incredible fans of the company, and they're going to work even harder for the organization. So the first thing is how do you go through and assess where people are? So I've worked with leadership teams for over 30 years, and a lot of when we go and if we're doing strategic planning, that type of work, we go through one of four phases, and those are stabilizing, visualizing, strategizing, and execution. You know, you have to be able to stabilize to figure out where you are. If I'm talking about visualizing and what could be, but people are just running around playing whack-a-mole, well, they aren't really going to hear it. It's going to go in one ear and out the other. I'm going to give you specific tools on how to achieve this. No cost or expectations with it. So when you start looking at this as an individual, or if you're looking at it for the entire organization and you're trying to create this wellness program, well, first we need to assess where we are, so that once we define where we are, well, then we can start figuring out what would amazing look like, how do we want to build from there. And once we understand that, then we can start building a plan, strategizing on how to go out and achieve it. So the first step is to help everybody assess and define where are they today. And there's a variety of tools out there, but if you'd like, you're welcome to go to our site, which you can find at lifeon-yourterms.com. And you go about halfway down the page, and there is a link to what we call the balance wheel. And the balance wheel is a tool that is specifically been designed with some folks who were former employees of Gallup that I created with the intention of having people decide where are they on a holistic level. It doesn't cost you anything, it's just a little bit of information, and then takes about 6-7 minutes and you'll get immediate results. And those results are going to come out, and the questions are going to be around the 4 different quadrants. Now, there's a variety of different tools out there for, for doing these types of assessments, but I found that this works really well in that there's the 4 quadrants are based on not just our professional, because professional is important. What is our environment? What are our title? How do we feel about the work, the space we're in? How are we doing with that? But that's only a small piece of it. There's also our relationships, our friends, our family, and our partner, whether it be spouse or however you may look at your partner. The next one is going to be around your health, your physical, your mental, and your spiritual. And then lastly, it's going to be around your resources, our time, our talent, and our treasure. And when you look at this on a holistic level, it's going to empower you to get stronger. Now, as an old guy, and I'm in my mid-50s, I used to look at success as, well, shit, if you got the money and you got the accolades, well, you're probably doing just fine. I don't know that that's true anymore. And don't get me wrong, I love my BMWs and I have multiple homes. I like that. It's important, but it's not the only way to measure success. So let's test that. Let's say we have a business owner or a senior leader and she's doing really well. Let's say she's making $1 million a year. Only flies private, lives in a beautiful home, has a second home, drives a Maserati. Well, on the outside, we'd say, wow, that person's crushing it. They're doing fantastic. They're really successful. But what if, well, their relationship is a mess? The kids don't want to talk to them or have addiction issues. Their partner frustrated because that person's working all the time and they're starting to step out on them. Maybe their health is a mess. They're pre-diabetic. They can only sleep with a handful of Xanax at night. In that case, I'm going to argue that that person isn't nearly as successful as they could be. Now, on the flip side, let's say that we see maybe with the millennials and the Gen Zs, I think actually in a lot of ways are some of the hardest working generation we've ever seen. But if you only focus on your friends, your family, and your partner, and your health, well, you're leading a pretty decent life, but you probably are destined to live the rest of your life in your parents' basement. So helping to figure out how can you find that balance to where you can integrate both of them, that's the key. And that's where with this tool, you go through, again, ask your people to do this, and it's going to give you results, and it'll give you a visual representation of areas that you're strong, and then areas that you've got some opportunities for growth. Now, when you have those areas for growth, own it. Say, great, okay, how can you then coach your teams up to start being proactive in one form or another? Excuse me. So if you're in the process, let's say you go through and you have your team take this, and like, wow, there's a resounding issue around time. Nobody feels like they have enough time. Okay, how can you start to be proactive with that time? Maybe it's around time blocking. Maybe it's around being more intentional with how you're sleeping. Maybe it's figuring out how you can delegate things away. And there's a variety of tools, and on this channel, please check it out. We've got loads and loads of tools that can help you with this. Now, maybe it's around relationships. Maybe people aren't feeling as strong as they could be. So you start setting up accountability groups where people start choosing to have a regular date night, or they start having the intention of setting the dates with friends to go out and start growing those areas. Or maybe it's around health. Maybe you feel, I'm just not happy with where I am in my health. And as a result, people start, well, I'm doing okay, but I'm not where I want to. So maybe it's as simple as getting people to get up and start going for a walk. Now, we offer an entire course at Life-on-Your Terms that actually address, and we have 2 or 3 things that address each part of the balance wheel. And then we also help you go through and learn how to visualize, how to dream, and build the plans and all the way through. But for now, just for the organization, if you can start to create this in a different way and start looking at what success looks like in a different way through the eyes of your employees, it's going to help you. And when we start doing that, well, it's actually your employees more often than not are going to become rock star employees. Now, I have seen this over and over and over. I do a lot of high-end executive coaching, and this is a tool I start with everybody to help them start to define where they are. And then once we understand where we are, we've done that assessment, we're starting to stabilize, then the next step is for you to take a breath and say, all right, for each one of these slices of the pie, what would amazing look like? What would a visualization look like? Where do we want to go with this? And then as a group with the leadership team or with your organization, start talking about this. Start exploring what that looks like, and then start exploring how can you be champions instead of saboteurs. Yeah, maybe you can hear the sirens. You can, sorry about that. But anyway, ideally this is going to help you when it comes to identifying employee wellness and work-life balance. So if you found value in this, right on, please subscribe. If you have questions, don't be afraid to reach out. And as always, feel free to reach out to lifeon-yourterms.com. Keep smiling.